All right, ladies and gentlemen, gnomes and gnomettes, Nomo sapiens, aspiring gnomes, welcome to the Gnome Dome, broadcasting live from an undisclosed location on the dark side of the moon. We hope you all have had an amazing Thanksgiving. We have a very special treat today, but first, as usual, I have to say that nothing we say here is financial advice or advice of any kind. Please keep your fiat in the bank where it is nice and safe. Rest in peace, Harambe. I'm coming to you from my laptop here, so I'm out of town, so have mercy on me. I'm slightly handicapped technologically. I've been trying for a long time to get this gentleman on my channel, but our schedules have never been able to match up. He's a longtime friend with whom I've been conversing with on the interwebs for years, and he's honestly been a mentor to me and answered many of my questions over the years. So I've learned a ton from him. Many of you know my guest. His name is DeGard, the main brain behind GPooL. Please be patient with me and have mercy on my soul as I try to keep up with his outsized intellect. Well, now we're excited to introduce some cool stuff to you all today. And 99% of this is new to me, so I'll be learning along with all of you. And with that, welcome aboard, DeGard. Thank you for coming on my channel.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy we finally got this to line up with dates and everything. Definitely good to be here. All the support and help you've given with GPooL and just everything. Long time OG, for Theta, and I think it's mutual. I think that's the best part about Theta is the community and how much intellect we actually all have around us with everybody. So we'll probably have to explain to these guys here right now that as you can tell, we're in our avatar form. We are we're using the facial recognition tracking software that you see in front of you, and it's part of why I'm here today to explain to you guys all what we got in store and what we've been busy building since July, as soon as 3.0 went live and we started working on everything. And as you can see, it's still a little bit in beta right now, and these will be NFT forms, and then as you can see, NFT wearables. We'll get into all of that here as we go. I prepared some images and some text to help explain a lot of this. It's a pretty massive project that we've been working on, so I'm excited to get into it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for coming on, and honored to have you here. And really excited for everything you and your developer crews have been putting together and helping the Theta ecosystem. I really like how you always say you're a Theta investor first. You really care about the Theta project, so appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I try not to say it over and over again how excited I am, about Theta and what they're doing, and it's amazing. It's amazing for civilization and the whole slew I've repeated so many times now, but it's great. And as you're going to see today, a lot of thought went into making sure that this is all applicable to exactly what it is that's needed, in the Theta space and ecosystem, at least from what we have discerned and looked over and found. I I just I think it's such amazing technology that we should see just how much can be done on it. So that's where we're sort of taking on a little bit of the role here and taking our resources that we have and putting it to work.
Great, great. So yeah, thank you for my avatar. I think it looks very handsome. Maybe a little better looking than I am in real life, but I'll take it. And so, what do you have for us?
All right. So as you can see, we're going to get into NFT avatar, wearables, and so on. Here, I'll advance us off of this demonstration here. So, as you can see here, obviously we're calling this Gworld. A lot of our focus was not only done based on the virtual and, you know, the worlds we're all excited about, being able to merge, so to say. We wanted to make sure that we were doing augmented and virtual reality, which is obviously, as you can see, you're in through Zoom and I'm here in my OBS, and we have our avatar that we're able to to use, and obviously you can see on the screen that we're calling them G twins. Maybe I've had somebody tell me that they'd call it like their little G, which I thought was clever. So
I love that.
so obviously we kept the G theme, but it really does make sense when you've got a digital twin with the G. But yeah, so basically a lot of this was birthed because, once again, just like I did for the staking, I sat down, I evaluated where my resources and skills could help, and I said, okay, this is going to be the plan forward. I see this probably being something that needs, what we've got to offer to do it. And basically what a good example is so, let's just say, and nothing that I say it's all hypothetical. I don't have any, inside intel or anything, or, what have you. But so let's just say that Theta partners with SoFi Stadium, and, which isn't a far stretch with their crypto ties. And they get cameras put all over SoFi Stadium. And, we already know from their patents that interest both Samsung and Sony so much is that they have the patents for a virtual camera inside of the virtual reality, which is really exciting because you start talking about merging into virtual and physical, something like a concert, that they put a bunch of cameras up and now you can visit it in a virtual sense, or you could visit it in, the physical sense. Football game, say you're sitting there. And, I really thought, I said, well, basically what you probably have is you have something where, like, I don't know, you collect all 4 of these NFTs and then it burns them so they're even more rare, all the 4 of them, to collect. And you get a special ticket, and it's like a 50-yard line ticket. And obviously there might be more than one winner, so they can double book that seat. So they're even more excited because now, the seat can be double booked. I do think that does probably diminish the further back seats, but anyhow, not to get too far down the rabbit hole. But I figured, okay, well, you're going to have somebody that's going to be able to virtually walk to their seat, take a seat, and sit and watch the game. What the person in the stadium is going to see is an empty seat, unless they have augmented reality glasses on, so they could see both physical and virtual world. And I figured at that point that gentleman or woman that's there as a fan is going to want a jersey of their team and so on. So I said, I think that our avatars are going to be our big, it's going to be a lot of our personality soon. People are going to want to have that avatar that looks like them when they have to go to Beijing, on Monday morning or such, so
Absolutely, especially with Facebook renaming themselves to Meta. Granted, I still say stay out of Facebook's Meta, stay in the decentralized Meta, but that just goes to show you they see the space race, so to speak. They see the competition coming, and they want everyone in their metaverse, and because they value the concept of metaverse. So that really supports what you're saying right now.
Right, and that, like you said, it's an amazing indicator of cross correlation that where everything's heading. And I like you said, it's going to be a major and important part of our future. I think personally that you'll end up having a mortgage out if you didn't hold Theta early, but no, you'll have a mortgage out on your avatar. And that's because think about it, man, the artists and everybody are going to be in such high demand soon. There's just so many resources, and that's what ends up happening when something becomes valuable because of limited resources, anyhow. So that was like a lot of the premise. We sat there and we said, okay, I think that probably the company that's going to end up being either one of the five, or being a good driving force at the beginning, like we saw with the internet, many companies really helped advance it. That one of those companies is probably going to be birthed here now. Maybe all five of them are birthed right now in this time, but we figured, why not do this on Theta and just start building the standard, and just start everything coming together for it, basically. It's there's a here's the thing. I do like to get excited and sit back and think about what announcements coming and such, but to me, I think I just like to use my time to try to see if I can help in any way advance this forward. Little old me here with just a keyboard. Let's see what we can do, but I guess the thing about it is it's exciting when you start saying, well, we, as we're building this out, we're like, oh, and then we could do this because of this. I mean, just the whole Theta thing, the dang dots connect so easy that it's just it's
a
amazing.
no-brainer, man.
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah.
So should we tick through these left to right, or what's the best?
Yeah, I sort of wanted this on the screen. We'll touch back on it as we go through here. I just wanted to show and paint the big picture here, but let's we won't stop on it each time. So while we're on it this first time here, let's sort of go through it here.
Okay, so this is kind of like the appetizer for the suite you're introducing.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we got Gworld is going to be obviously the world, both in the physical sense as well as the virtual sense, in that our plan is to make sure that we're building a complete ecosystem where not only is it there are the financial on-ramps, but then there's also the technical on-ramps and the utilization of a bandwidth and such. We wanted to make sure that how we design this and how we're going forward is that we're submitting more jobs to the compute nodes, and like I said, I sit there and say, well, you know what, let's do this. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that follow and they start doing it, but we're here, we got a lot of nodes that are spun up so we can do internal testing, and it's really synergistic. And then we've got a bunch of GPUs that we're buying to build out for compute. So basically, not only that, we can work right with Theta, on developing that edge node that is going to suffice what's necessary to run sort of like what we need and what we're seeing, what we need from all of the developers that are working on this, because obviously we're going to get the teams needed for a lot of the edge node too, and that's the big excitement is that when we need it, it's going to help make sure that we push things forward in as much of an open source manner as we can too. That's the big thing about crypto is people, I guess a lot of people understand it now, which is great seeing that, but the big movement is open source. That's everybody goes, wow, crypto moves really fast, and it's yeah, everything's open source, so it's not a bunch of closed off secrets. So it's, I guess, anyways, that's
and when you say increase the kind of the throughput to the compute nodes, you're referring to the Theta edge nodes that people are running on all their respective machines to support the network, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. We we tend to, discuss things, a little bit probably more thorough, just because of our, back and forth about all this for so long. But yeah, that's, I guess that's the main thing is to make sure that, okay, so you got a metaverse out there that's being built, that's renting a bunch of servers, that's, cranking away and doing what they're doing, and they're not doing anything to try to be malicious. But in a sense, it's like, what, somebody could be doing that and advancing the edge node network, better. Somebody could be doing that and giving open source software so that, we advance X, Y, and Z for stuff that we haven't even, thought of names for yet. Have been recently, saying, because I love that Willy Woo graph where he showed that it was basically the from between the next 4 years is going to be like from 1997 to 2005 in the internet era. And that's just amazing when you think about it, because you're going from a LED illuminated screen, mobile, or a Motorola Star, I believe is what they were called, to all the way to Windows Mobile on a keyboard. And it's like, we don't even have polyphonic ringtones in crypto yet. Like, we don't even have the term BlackBerry. Like, there's going to be something like the BlackBerry where it's actually like, BlackBerry me. And, it's just so bizarre that that's a device that we don't even use anymore now. And just to think, like, crypto hasn't even had its BlackBerry moment, where I guess where I would take the liken of digital meeting, like, the everyday, where it was, new news anchors were coming in, replacing old because they didn't know how to write even an email and such. It's going to be amazing to see that whole big advancement, as like the new youngs come in and start, moving out, sort of the olders, not that I don't respect my elders, because I learned more than anything from all of them, but technology just moves so darn fast. So it's going to be exciting to see. So, but I guess with that being said, that was sort of where we came, our mindset from, is that we really just want to make sure we build and we advance as long as everyone blesses us to be in this role, and we appreciate that everybody makes those decisions on a regular basis when they see price movement and they decide to stay staked. And, I guess it's probably the best time of ever to, sort of, say that, without the fee on chain, this what you're seeing in front of you would not have been possible. And, once we got the fee on chain, I guess that's the best way to say is like what you're about ready to see is where that, that 4% fee goes to, so to say.
Yeah, and just to clarify for the audience, you're referring to all of the people who staked their Theta tokens to the GPooL node. GPooL ran it for a long time for free for everyone, and then the Theta at mainnet 3.0, the deployment there enabled the ability for Guardian nodes to charge a fee for those who are delegating their Theta tokens to their Guardian node. And you're saying, hey, look, it's not going in a black hole somewhere. We're actually turning it around and doing something great for the Theta blockchain and the Theta community.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I feel real blessed, honest, that I've been given, the opportunity to show what I can do when I get some capital in my hands for this project. It's really exciting. It is, to be able to do such. I'm very passionate about the space. I don't think anyone could tell you any different. That's even served me a small meal. They've ended up with a crypto pitch. But anyways, so yeah, let's get into it. Enough gushing over it, I guess, right? We all, like I said, we were going to take a little bit different path than just like creating the rainbow, so to say, over like the world, well, the upper half of the world. But anyways, so we'll take it from GPooL here because that's sort of like, sort of like the start of it all, And, then, like I said, then, we were like, okay, well, we're going to have to, start working on the protocols so that people can start using, it's one thing with, with metaverses and everything like that to, I guess what I'm saying is that, let's just start building it so that the metaverses can start using it too, so anyways, so the G twin, and we'll go into all of that. And then, what we had seen while we were developing was we were like, well, we really could go for, a lot more features added to the wallet. And basically, we forked MetaMask where it was legally appropriate to do such, obviously. And we said, let's supercharge it and let's make it a little bit more tailored to the Theta user, because with Meter Passport just coming out with those bridges and stuff, you got to be able to flip between blockchains, and that the MetaMask, you can flip between blockchains with it and such, and we'll get into all of that. So anyways, what we said was, we're gonna take on, create some standards, some software and hardware for Theta to be usable by avatars, and then from there we decided that it was upon us to probably take on a little bit better wallet, so to say, and sort of let Theta do all of their stuff, right? We'll bite that part of the elephant off, and then when we were designing all of that, we found that we'll need that liquidity token, so we designed that, and I'm real excited about that. It goes very deep. We'll be able to just scratch a bit of the surface today, but anyhow, and then basically we were there saying, well, we'll probably do like, let's create the bridge, so Theta bridge, and we're going to have the TNT20 token now. Meter Passport, we've been in talks with them and such, and we're here to make sure that we're not sort of doing work twice, so to say. The big thing is if somebody's already doing it, then that's good. There's plenty of other stuff that needs to be built, so to say. So we'll just boogie and rock and roll over to something else, So I guess the thing is the Theta bridge, that TNT20, it's now, we're not saying that we're not going to open it, because it's always great to have more than one bridge. But for right now, it's more of like an in-house custom bridge for the stuff that we're doing specifically. And then, obviously, when we're putting out the code and everything like that, people can grab bits of it and such and, implement and so on. But it's not like going to be like a sort of like one of the services that we are going to take on, unless it's something that we end up having to, for whatever reason it would be. But it'll be there, good and usable by the community once we're able to do such. We've got a lot that we've bitten off here, and we've got to make sure that we appropriately delegate and focus. So with that being said, when we can make it communal, we're going to try our best to do such. So and then obviously the like it says here, the bridge is going to handle doing bridging metaverse, so to say, because we have the G twin, and it's always better if we can migrate the G twin and all the accessories and such onto other metaverses, and then it comes and shows people what the Theta tribe is doing over here, so to say, and so on and so forth.
So are you saying, if I may just interject,
sure.
And clarify, because I have a question, so I'm assuming my audience might have a question as well.
Mm-hmm.
So TNT20 token bridge,
Mm-hmm.
is that kind of like being able to bring TNT20 tokens onto other blockchains, or bring it, or like the bridging assets to a metaverse, bringing your G twin to Decentraland, for example?
Yes. So yes, exactly. So like I was saying, Meter Passport, they have generic handlers. They have the ability to like sort of take on the other community members that are going to develop TNT20 tokens. We're not going to say, we're not going to, well, like I was saying, I'm not saying we're not. I would never say that. Right now, our resources are better used by not sort of managing it, so to say, for the community to sort of like just add what they want. But I will say, the reason we built the bridge, we'll get a little bit more in as we go through here. But if somebody from the community had that specific need as well, and we were able to facilitate it maybe a touch better, that would definitely be something we would collab with. I think you could probably tell at this point I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I don't, if I can't really give it at least an 85% for to call it good enough, I don't really want to use the resources just yet. But if need be, it would be something we would do. So the bridge is take your Theta token to Avalanche, take it to Binance Chain, Ethereum if you got money bags for gas, Moon River that's coming, which is going to be great because then, that whole Kusama path to Polkadot and, it's going to be great. The bridge world is, it's really cool. The thing about it is, that was one of the other reasons for the wallet is, it can get a little muggy out there too, or muddy, however you want to say it. It's when you start swapping back and forth from blockchain to blockchain and you've got assets all over and gas all over and so on and so forth, it can get a bit confusing too. So you'll see that we've made sure that we designed it to be a bit more user-friendly for swaps and such. Not swaps, bridges, swaps as well. But anyways, using all this stuff, I'm always, I'm a horrible critique of everybody, including my own work. But so when I'm clicking through things and I'm seeing frustrating potholes and so on and so forth, I start trying to think of how would I build it better. So anyways, I used, let's put it this way, the GTX wallet up here that we're going to go over, some of these concepts have been ones that I have been sort of waiting for someone to develop. Not saying I just sit on my hands, but anyways, I hadn't been in the role to do these specific ones until this point, but since like 2014, some of these ones I'm just like, I can't believe crypto doesn't have this yet, but they probably do to some capacity. It's just not mainstream enough or popular enough. Anyways, so we're gonna have the Theta bridge. Right now, Theta bridge is just gonna loop back to Gworld.app, and then once we go live with the rest of this project here, over the first week of December, we'll have the TNT20 token bridge up, which is really for TBILL right now. And we also made sure with Meter Passport that what we were building was cross-compatible, so that if we do need to take on the role of another TNT20 token like ours, we're ready because it meets all the same requirements and standards. What you'll see is as you take Meter Passport's coins to other blockchains, it specifically says in the details of the block explorers that it's secured by Meter Passport. That's a big thing, is when you're crossing bridges, you really have to make sure that you're swapping it into what I would consider like a popular wrap of that token. I hate to say that there's sometimes more than just one, but you hate to get over to Avalanche and realize you have the wrong wrapped Ethereum. I don't mean wrong because it's just, that's probably a negative connotation. I didn't mean that, because there's probably a really good-hearted team that's working hard to make that wrap popular. But I guess what I'm trying to say is when you're moving into a new network and it doesn't have the plush liquidity pools and such, it's imperative that you make sure you're in the right wrap. And anyways,
sure, liquidity is king.
Yeah, for sure. And if you literally have the wrong token, it's so. Anyway, so we wanted to make sure that all of the appropriate markings and such, because the least thing that we want to do is try to confuse anybody and end up having like two different wrap versions on Theta. That would unnerve me. I mean, we've got, I don't want to say we've got a close enough family out here right now in development land for Theta that we could probably prevent that, but we do, and it's something that would probably drive me nutty that it would slip through the cracks on us. So yeah, and then that's probably something we should touch on as well. Theta swap over here. If you see, we're going to mirror the Theta swap smart contract. What that means is that anybody can go and interact with the Theta swap smart contracts. As a matter of fact, if anyone's explored the blockchain, they'll see that it says Uniswap version 1 a lot of places in those contracts, and that's because like I said, moving crypto forward, open source, bang, plug it in, and tweak, and then you're off to the races. So with that being said,
just to clarify, you're
yeah.
saying it was a clone of Uniswap, but yet not 100% of like the labeling, so to speak, has been transitioned over to, say, Theta.
Yeah, when you're doing this and forking and such, it probably would seem odd to maybe the average person. So it's probably best to just explain that real quick. But so a lot of times, if you think about it like this, if you went into a family, let's say you went into a foreign family, for Christmas, let's say, that's coming up here, and you sat down and everybody had their names and they introduced you to them, and you all of a sudden said, okay, cool, hey, I'm going to take you guys for a ride and over to my house, and when you're at my house, I'm going to rename everyone. Now everybody's got to remember everybody else's new name. So that's basically what you're doing when you fork work, appropriately fork work, where it's legal and the developer agreed with it with licensure. To rename everybody and everything, it takes a lot of work, because you have to retrace back through to make sure that everything that touches knows its new name.
And in software code, there's a lot of references over and over again, right?
Correct.
Get called. So it's kind of a pain in the buns.
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah. It's not uncommon, especially in crypto, and I think that's sort of also what helps move us forward. Is I mean, who knows? I guess we're probably on the precipice here of a different kind of crypto. I have a feeling, I feel it coming. I guess is that maybe that might be something that's critiqued from here on forward. But for all of us that were sort of like in it and understood why that was done, I guess there was no harm. And to be honest with you, I always, like, whenever I'd look through code and see, that they forked it for something and they left the name in, I always feel like they're just paying like tribute, somewhat too, where like, somebody that is working and using it, they'll never know that is there. But, us guys that are like, oh, you got that from so-and-so, and you left that and you didn't need to, but that was cool. Like a lot of copywriting and, it really, to be honest with you, in the early days.
Like paying homage, like a shout out.
Yeah. Back in the early days, I would see, like, if they forked like a project, how many how many back steps they took to pay digital rights to that, not in the sense that leasing, but just to copy all of the dates that were written or wrote, I don't know how to say that, but anyways, all the ones that were already stamped as copyright. So like, you'd go through, it's almost like a chain of emails. Like, how many of those chain of emails would you copy before you're just like, all right, just copy the one, you know what I mean? So, don't get me wrong, it's really writing a script that does such, so it's not a big deal, but it's still effort to make sure that it was done. So anyways, so yeah.
So there already is a Theta swap site. Correct.
There is, yeah, there is. And Theta has it up, and as a matter of fact, I've used it. I've used it a lot more lately, with all the testing, everything like that. And yeah, I guess I was just making sure that everyone knew, if they start clicking through contracts, especially because we're about ready to sort of really supercharge how much that thing's used. If you start clicking through smart contracts and you see Uniswap and such, that's why you're going to see that, in there.
Okay.
So what we're doing though, it's probably pretty important that I probably maybe clarify what I was saying from the start is that we're going to mirror the Theta Swap website. So basically, we've been in contact with Theta, and some of the changes that we need to do is a little bit strenuous on their timeline. Just like if Theta came to me and said, "Hey, listen, can you do this and this?" Like, it's Theta asking me, so I'm going to try my best to make it happen. But if I'm that busy, like they're that busy, anyways. It works better that we just take on our role of custodianship of our like version, so to say. So, like I was saying, Theta Swap is basically just a bunch of smart contracts on the blockchain that you're interacting with. So when Theta that has their website up, they're interacting with the same smart contract that potentially like our website's going to be interacting with. I say potentially because there's a lot of different contracts. I meant at the same time. So anyways, what I'm saying is when you go to Theta Swap on the one that's officially hosted by Theta Labs, it's going to be just like that, but we're going to put it underneath our domain and host it. So let's say that, something were to happen to Theta's server, temporarily it goes down or something, power outage or something, like our server's still up and you're still interacting with the same smart contracts and so on and so forth. But now what we're able to do is, let's say that somebody goes out and they make a TNT20 token and, it's, one of the team members reach out to our team and say, hey, listen, this is the logo, or, it's not displayed right or something like that. Like we can set some resources aside so that we can start managing some of that too. And, stuff that, sort of, is nice to have as a secondary resource for that. So, we're going to make sure that we have other wallets that interact with that. Some of the limitations was, the wallet that we had forked here from MetaMask and making sure that that was cross compatible, as well as some of the others. So, so on the thetaswap.io, we're going to make sure that it looks the same and has the same feel for everybody. We wanted to make sure that it was as close, so that everyone understands it's like the same smart contract. I guess this is probably a good time to tell everybody, like, if it's not Theta's main, domain that you're on, or you're not on, thetaswap.io, like that's, okay, I'm not saying that somebody in the hackathon or somebody is working on something like that isn't doing that as well. I don't want to just blanket the statement, but be very leery, I guess is what I'm saying, because you know how that goes.
Like you're talking about fraudulent phishing attempts of
Yes, exactly.
sites to ninja your coins by
Exactly.
putting up a legitimate looking site, and then you hook up your hardware wallet to it, or you give a seed phrase or a private key, and next thing you know, you're up a creek without a paddle. Your
Right.
Theta or T-fuel's drained out of your wallet.
Correct. And
That
that
happens.
was,
That
it
definitely
does.
happens.
It does. And that was one of the things we really took into consideration when we said this is the best path forward for us, the community, Theta, because it's just, the workflow is sort of how it makes sense. And like I said, it's worth having a backup, so to say, and then, a second team that's helping manage it as well. Like I said, we've got a lot of stuff that we got to build and work on. We're not in like sort of the business of doing duplicate work unless it's something that, I'm not saying that it's not great that it helps out the community, because that's our number one thing, but it's right now it's got to make, more sense a little bit too, from us. And I mean, hopefully we get into that position where we can just, start doing backup stuff just for the sake of having it backed up. So anyways, now I'll get into the rest of, that, the text there once we get over there. But, so then, it was just on to, okay, well, we'll have the bridge so that we can bridge, we can bridge our avatars and other people's, utilities and so on and so forth. Now this bridge will be something that's a little bit more open than the token bridge, where it. The reason being is that there, well, I don't know, by the a month or so from anyways, I guess what I'm saying is I'm so hesitant right now because the hackathon is just about ready to pop, and we're about ready to see a bunch of stuff, and I'm excited to see what they all been working on. And anyways, so there's not another.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. There's not another metaverse bridge yet on Theta, and I've seen some popping up in discussion, but obviously.
And to be clear, are you planning on entering this suite or some subset of it into the hackathon?
Yeah, we've thought about it. It's nice. It's nice to join the hackathon. I really like people to see that things were birthed from the community and such, because I guess without a headline, sometimes people don't take the time, or or maybe even know how to go and look and see, but at the same extent, I get a little torn. I'm excited to see what wins. To be honest, the development funds and such out there. I just it's great to see. Because we need more development on Theta, and it's we're not trying to. I know when you look at this picture, you can say, "Wow, did they leave any room or any air in the room for others?" And it's like I guess what I'm trying to say is, we like to leave room. We like to leave air in the room for other developers to take advantage of that.
Very, very humble of you. I think I understand. I think what you're saying. Love it, man. Yeah, really hope you guys get more eyeballs on this by entering the hackathon, and show add legitimacy, add eyeballs, add a thank you to you guys, because obviously, this is definitely resources coming out of your pocket. So appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, I'm a weirdo. I enjoy spending money on developing blockchain technology. I don't know that there's too many people that could actually probably say that. But anyways, it's I don't know. It's quite entertaining to me, and I find it soothing. So anyway, what were you going to say?
Love it. So we have we talked briefly about Theta Bridge. We talked briefly about Theta Swap.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned very briefly about the wallet stuff,
mm-hmm.
and we all know we're all mostly familiar with the GPooL current
mm-hmm.
suite offering. Is there something else on this slide you want to mention and dive into?
Yeah, so like I was saying, we're with the bridge and such. Basically, the progression was then into just full out metaverse, and that was where it really started getting exciting about developing so much for a big sector that I think we're all excited about is the usability of the Theta edge system, or edge network, or I get sometimes confused with how to mention it, just because sometimes the network and the blockchain get convoluted so many times. It's so bizarre when you think that there's a whole huge network that isn't the blockchain. It's an uncommon thing in crypto, when you're like, well, which network, which robust network are you speaking of, when you talk about Theta's network, so to say, that's up. But yeah, so that was, it was just sort of a natural progression. We started building everything with the bridge, and okay, we're gonna, take the G twins across the bridge, and, then it's like, well, we're one step away from this, and then it's like, oh my gosh, well, yeah, we got to do this because then we can build this and this and this for Theta, and then do this with that, and it's just like, and it's really starts snowballing, and it's just like, okay, yeah, all right, it needs to be a world, like, so that's sort of where it all. And then in the center, governance token, so to say, the core of the planet, what's keeping it, I guess, going, right? So
Yeah, let's talk about it.
yeah, so I'm going to refrain from a lot of talk with it. It's pretty in depth, into the technical
Okay.
weeds, but
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
yeah. And to be honest with you, it's it's the part I'm real excited about as well. So like, it sort of makes me itch a little bit that we can't dive into it during the first presentation of it. But anyways, it just would be way too much. And
Yeah, I think people appreciate this isn't like a tutorial. It's
yeah,
more of like a high level intro coming out of like opening of the kimono, so to speak.
yeah. All right, so let's go down the G twin rabbit hole a bit more here. So okay, so what you see here on the screen
That's
is,
cool.
yeah. So what this is a simulation of when they go live here in the next couple of the week or so. What's going to happen is everybody on GPooL is going to get their avatar, their base model avatar, and then they can go in, style it how they prefer, and then hit the mint button. And then basically what happens is when you hit the mint button here, you mint your new base model, and then that's where we build from off of that. So basically what happens is as you'll see, or you can see on us, there's clothing and so on and so forth that you can use to clothe your avatar. And I'll be honest, the stuff that we're going to offer up is not going to be some big huge price. It's basically the price that we're going to set is like a dollar or so, a couple of dollars, just so that we make sure that people don't like spam the blockchain, so to say, just minting these NFTs. Because the thing about this is, now I will say, at first when I was designing this, I said, well, we're going to have rare ones and so on and so forth. But, at this moment, it's going to be, anybody's going to be able to come and click the mint button. And I was like, well, the value of those probably won't be quite as substantial. And then one of the developers on the team, he was like, well, this is going to go through some iterations. So, so people might have the nostalgic ones still like in their wallets and stuff. I said, well, yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought of that, So anyways, so with that being said, you get your base
That's
model
cool.
in the undergarments here, and you build outward from there. And if you're not on, GPooL right now, and obviously we want to make sure that everyone can participate and such. So that's you'll find the minting capabilities over on gtwin.io as well. So we wanted to make sure that if you don't have an account over at GPooL, that you can get your hands on it and still, have a good time.
Got it.
I will say though, what we are going to do is have these little giveaways for for people at GPooL, and your avatar will go on not the landing page but the overview page, and it'll display that and show that you're the winner, and so on and so forth. And obviously the top 10 will still be there as well. We really wanted to just make sure that people get a chance to see other people's avatars and stuff. So giveaways always a great way to do that too. So yeah. So what you also have over on.
So real
Oh
quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, never mind. It looks like you're getting to it. I was going to say, for example, my shirt and my avatar. could hypothetically be an NFT
Mm-hmm.
that my G twin could be equipped with. Is
Correct.
that an accurate way to phrase that? Okay. And then
Yeah.
with your Theta Bridge product or platform,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the best word, but
Resource.
um,
Yeah.
resource. Thank you. That could conceivably be this big dog shirt NFT could be sent to Decentraland, right?
Right. Right. And you
That's
know,
groovy.
yeah. And I, I think on a huge, outlook. Yeah. And it's going to be amazing. I think we've got some building to do before, any kind of, art design can show up in any 3D, you know, world, so to say. With the bridge originally, I guess what I want to make sure is that everyone understands that sure is coming. But I what you would foresee probably a little bit sooner is unless you had a partnership with the metaverse, so to say, or some development that obviously we're going to try our hardest to develop as much of this crap, excuse my language, as we can, and open source so that everybody can start like going to like standards and stuff like that, because that's really going to be the exciting stuff, is when we can start all pushing like forward some standards. And that's why for us taking on this role to do the metaverse on Theta is like, I guess what I'm saying, like I'm really pumped and excited about, because if we can start forging forward some standards, like that is like a world where Theta now is so much more valuable as a resource, because you can just bring your metaverse over. We have a nice quick little like spin up sort of tool to start building it, and you're building one, and and it's all on a standard, and it's just
Bro, the G
keeps.
standard.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know that we would take a name for that, but yeah, obviously, when we can gift that to the world, we're going to gift that to the world, or to our world, our G world, and
Yeah.
the Theta ecosystem and such. So
So everyone at the Katy Perry concert, can have their G twin and import it, and import maybe even someday their Decentraland avatar over onto the Theta blockchain, so they can sit in the crowd of Katy Perry, or even like hover creepily behind her.
right. So what I would see coming before that is. So let's say that these, there's a game out there, and everybody, is really like hyped on the game, and we see we see value in the game, or we say, oh, this is really pushing the space forward. Let's see if we can collaborate with them, or not even have to collaborate. We just say, if you bring that gun from over there into ours, X, Y, and Z happens, and now like doing cross promotional stuff, and because that's a little bit more, I guess, realistic as a short term expectation for. I'm going to take my shirt. It's going to look exactly like I need it to, and it's going to fit the same person in this metaverse over here. And we already know that, well, I don't know. Who knows how, how Meta is going to handle all of that. I don't know that it's going to be open source, but man, they could really surprise us, I guess, and maybe go that path. But so speaking of like open source, and that sort of like fundamental with this all too, with the storefront we have in front of us here, gtwin.io is where you would go, and you have like basically you have a storefront that you know what, I think let me 1 second here. I think well, we'll see if I think I got it. I think it's just one more slide in. So the store, what ends up happening is that what I'm saying, because just in case I don't have that in here, you'll be able to see it on gtwin.io right after you watch this, is a design studio. So basically what's going to happen is that we're working, like I said, to build some standards, and basically give everybody an open source tool so they can start building their own clothing line, shoe line. The thing about it is what's going to get a little tricky is like watches and earrings and such, because their details are so small. And I think that, when you take a look at our avatars, we thought of that, and we wanted to make sure if you're going to have a big old fat Rolex on your watch, you need like a thicker hand. We're still toying with the notion. When you look at our hands of our avatars, they're quite beefy, and we figured that could support visually something that's normally small a little bit bigger, because you got to think about it. Right now we're viewing things from such a distance in VR. It's not like you can go grab a girl's hand and see her big rock she just got, in the virtual world. Not yet, at least. I'm sure
Yeah.
that'll be something that's high priority. But anyways,
I'll try and show people our hands here.
Yeah, there you
go. The hands are beefy there. They couldn't see them before. I'm moving my guy up here a little bit.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to come and develop this tool so that everyone could design.
Virtual Dolce and Gabbana can come on here.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the big thing here is this, first and foremost, action, creates action, and, so forth, so it's always good to start getting stuff used right away, and if we were going to go out and start, knocking on doors, and hearing a lot of people that don't understand what crypto is and such, it's a lot of time to hear the word no. So basically what we thought was, not only that, it's always great to have community involvement too. So we've got a lot of artists out there already. Why is it that we just need to wait on, the big boys? So let's have some of these great artists from the community develop some of this stuff, and
I love that. I mean, that speaks true big dog style, letting the underdog have the first stab, because the whales of industry are poo-pooing crypto or are too bureaucratic and not nimble enough to kind of, pivot and really tap into this early market. So that really resonates with me.
Yeah. And, that's like, I guess, if you want to look at it, look at almost like an Amazon storefront. Not directly correlated if we just get excited about open source and community. But anyhow, when you go on, you create your storefront, and then you design, you mint right to that with our resource dimensions, and we're excited to be able to solve some of the problems where, like, if you buy this TBILL shirt here, and you're a gorilla on Wednesday and you're normal person on Monday, we want to make sure that your gorilla can fit the same shirt, so you don't have to go buy a 15XL shirt, and and the medium or large too, you know what I mean? So it's things like that we're excited to bring to everybody, and that's like part of the standard, I guess, that I keep referring to. Maybe people with that word, it's probably hard to envision what would a standard even look like, or what do you need a standard for, and that's part of it. Scaling, and I won't get into all the other technicals, but there's good reason to have some standard going forward. So we're excited to be able to do all of that and have the storefront. And then there's pretty cool stuff involved with the governance token. You were just talking about community and, that whole drum beat, and I'm right with you. And it's great to, start planning some of these tasks for the governance token. The governance token is going to have a pretty gigantic role with it being that core of the earth, so to say. While we're excited for protocol voting and other voting like that, we find it that there's a good happy medium before we get there, or stepping stone, so to say, before we're actually there voting on what code's going to get implemented. Because you really got to start mentally marching yourself out. Who's polling the code, who's like verifying the code, and you might have a bunch of governance token holders that don't know how to read code. And anyways, I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, but anyways, so, you start thinking of things that the governance token can be used for.
So DeGard.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow, but I felt like the viewers, we've mentioned we've made reference to a governance token so far.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to take a step back and kind of clarify that I believe you're, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you're referring to a governance token for Gworld, the
Mm-hmm.
G suite of apps, right? Like,
Correct. Yes.
okay, and so it's a token that will be available or earnable at some accruable.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right word is, but at some point in the near future, where people will have a governance say in the G World suite of apps, and it's a step towards making kind of the G World more decentralized. True.
Correct. Yes. Yes. And more, I guess, engaging too. Not saying to compare it to anything. That I guess I didn't mean it like that, but um, you know, engagement is really, is really crucial. Not, so I'm a big believer that a lot of people don't realize just how clever they are when it comes to designing some of this stuff. Some of my best ideas has come from some of the most odd places that I guess I would say in this whole big journey of mine in crypto. Anyways, it's really great to see like the micro voting too, like the element, and to see like I think we'll be able to test the temperature, so to say, of the climate of the Theta community, just on some of these like micro votes. And I think it's going to be so critical and crucial. Not only that, to like, let's put it this way. Like, let's say that, someday, a guy was out there and he's like, hey, listen, I'm going to go and I'm going to do XYZ. He does XYZ, and he's, you go on the blockchain, you get to see, wow, look at that vote that went against all of that. All right, scrap that idea. Let's, try to figure out what else, and I think that, not to say that I guess what I'm saying is like, I think developers are going to learn from the criticism from the micro votes as well. And I think it's going to be a valuable metric.
Dig it, dig it. Kind of like paying attention to the little voices too.
Yeah. Like I said, like, it's not only just like a singular, really strong voice, but that whole herd mentality, or the swarms, so to say. They've got some pretty good research out there about swarms, and how well it pushes, I guess, better decisions, so to say. But anyhow, I think that's going to be a really exciting.
So how does one get their hands on the G governance token, or am I jumping the gun on that?
No, yeah, and I guess that's the big thing is throughout this time, we'll touch on it, but I guess the basic overview is well, you know what? Give me just 1 second. We're going to flip to one slide here, and then.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're good. I just looked up at the screen, and we're going to have it like on the screen here in a second. So here you go. Here's the. Here's the younger version of you.
Oh man,
you 1.0, so we could say maybe the college goer of you, because there you got that beard on you still. So yeah, so there you were.
Wow.
I got
much more nimble and spry.
Yes, yeah. I you didn't know I was filming you through the bushes outside, but yeah, that's that's what I got of you there. But yeah, so another part of engagement that we really are excited about is the meme factory, where we're going to take some of the classic memes and sort of like recreate them so that you can then put your character in them. And the list can go on, as well as make new ones, and green screen stuff, and a whole slew of stuff, because the best part is that taking that and spreading that around gets like more word out about like Theta too, like so I guess we always are trying to make sure that if we're going to build this, that we see if we could get like a little bit of a boomerang effect, so to say, from it, and then what I mean by sort of build this, it's like, okay, this feature is cool to add. Should we add it now or should we wait later? Like, we got a lot of stuff that, we have to find the appropriate timetables for them. But anyways, this was something that we felt like needed to be out sooner than later. So yeah, so there's going to be the meme factory where you go and make your memes of your G twin. All right, let's see here. Okay, so like I was saying, we're going to have our G twins cross compatible as they become, and obviously as we're building standards out too. The more metaverse is built on Theta, and hopefully, like I said, we play a good role in getting that software out there for them to do such. Then they'll be able to incorporate the G twins in there. So you
So
know.
to zoom out,
Mhm.
um, I saw there's recently a cool new world called Block, and it's basically like a giant building with different levels. And Block is, I think it's like BLOK is the ticker, and you can kind of rent out like buy a room where you could have a store or something like that, right? And so you're saying like, hey, if Block decided to kind of port over to Theta, or someone made something similar to that on Theta, they could conceivably use the G twins in that world.
Correct. And then, at that point, so, okay, you're a smaller development house, let's say, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, we got enough resources so that we can use, let's just say that we're able to put out an open source at this, by that point, we're able to put out a nice big open source, like suite, so to say, right? Of, you can build the metaverse quite easily and plug in a lot of the parts and so on and so forth. But then, you sit there and say, well, okay, but, we, avatars or something that, either, yeah, you got enough to develop them and so on and so forth, but the big thing is that you want them to all be wearing like soccer jerseys, let's just say, right? Like it's a big soccer like club sort of like metaverse or something, and instead of you then having to go and do all of that, you've got our suite right there. Just go and just make the jerseys, or a special hat or something like that, where you can personalize your metaverse a little bit easier, and
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
So it's like the Green Street hooligans can come and create their own article of clothing using kind of like the G World standard for G twins.
for sure, yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's deep.
And I think that
That's meta.
yeah, for sure. And I think that also, once we can, we need to get people to be able to ride a unicorn. I mean, I got to see a G twin on a unicorn. It's
Oh,
something that's
come
got to
on, for
happen.
sure.
So like, and then of course you need to do the bear and the bull. It's gonna be some people that are riding the bear around when prices dip and stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is that people are gonna want their potentially their pets as well. So there's a whole big it's like I said, we're scratching the surface, and I'm excited about all that stuff. It's just sometimes some of the stuff comes to mind while we're talking about it, of what's underneath it. It's just so exciting. Anyways, so yes, that's, you're exactly right. Correct.
I'm really excited right now. Um, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, it should be a blast. I'm excited as well. I'll be honest with you. Ever since I've been in crypto, my life has moved like mega fast, and I can only imagine how fast it's going to move when I'm
Oh
able to
man.
design all this stuff that's so fun, and the micro votes and diving into like all of that stuff, and it just, I guess it just sounds really exciting, and and then you got all this
Yeah.
stuff, being able to, here you are, we're creating so many jobs for the compute nodes and such. And what we really want is obviously, now we're talking a bit down the road, but we really want it so that you can, scan your face with potentially with your iPhone, or your camera. And, we get to use like all the GPUs to run, an AI algorithm, and construct sort of like something that resembles you more than what we could do, you know, just with an artist, so to say. Not more, because an artist probably would be quite a bit faster, or maybe, I guess, budget friendly too. Like I was saying, I'm sure some of these ones are going to be like, man, who did your avatar? And they're going to be like, so and so, and they're gonna be like, oh, how'd you get in? There's a wait list, blah blah blah, and then there's just gonna be like, the people are like, well, forget that, I'm not waiting on a wait list, just let me do that VR thing over here, and they just, they scan it and off they go. This sort of looks like me, and the wife's like, no, that's not even the same color eyebrows, but off he goes to
I'm
work,
having a
right?
moment, like a brain fog moment. What's that thing on the iPhone or cell phone where you can like send someone an emoji
Yeah, yeah.
that looks exactly like you doing like funny poses?
Yeah, and that's like, this is the same sort of technology where we can right now, our two G twins, we can put into our mobile device too, and you can send like a text to someone if you wanted to, or post it on, I believe they call it Insta.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be sort of exciting to see, that bridge, sort of say. I think that's the biggest thing is that I think we can all agree that Theta has really sort of, not to use the word bridge again, because God knows probably people are sick of hearing that, but bridge the gap, I guess, so to say, between the not so heavy, like crypto heavy people to like the more like mainstream people, I guess is what you want to say. And if we can sort of help like with that same kind of like model where people are like, oh, that thing looks silly, how'd you get that? Is that you dancing like that? My God, like, you know what I mean? And like, they're like, oh yeah, it's from over here, and you know you, I'm not, I mean, obviously it's more of like I hope we get to that point at some point, and that's obviously that's our target. And I guess what I'm saying is it might be able to bring somebody over to quote unquote the dark side with us, with without any knowledge of even like, or even thinking that they're getting into a crypto. Heck, they might be at lunch the next day and be like, oh yeah, that thing was really cool, I downloaded it, and they're like, oh, here, I'll send you some crypto in your wallet. And they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, it's crypto. And they might not even know. That's always the hope, right? Is that we really start, because if we're looking at that curve that everyone talks about, the adoption, we need to really start picking up the pace, I guess, so to say, and that's what it looks like we're doing too. So
Yeah. It's funny. Everywhere I go, like, and I'm paying for something like at a doctor's office or a grocery store, I'm like, oh, do you guys take Bitcoin? And then like the looks I get, it's like a miniature moment of panic in their eye. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm just kidding. They're like, oh, that's so funny. Oh no, not yet, not yet. Sometimes these days they actually tell me they have never even heard of Bitcoin, but sometimes they laugh it off after I tell them I'm kidding. But then I'm like, yeah, well, I don't have any Bitcoin because it's an S coin. So that was a pure joke. So yeah. Sorry
yeah,
for the tangent.
I mean, and that's the little moment. I mean, I try, I guess one of my, more favorite sayings of Michael Saylor, and I guess it's, he's always, he's said, you buy Bitcoin at the price you deserve, because he's obviously a Bitcoin maxi, but, and I'm not saying obviously like that. Listen, I think that he's doing something really amazing. Obviously, he's and he's being just very, I guess we would say, conservative, and that's great, because Lord knows is that we don't need a crash and burn out of that kind of a situation. So like, I'm happy for that. I guess anyways, all I'm saying is I think it's quite a clever. He's got quite a few clever things he says, but yeah, that's one of them where I'm just like, I guess you do sort of like buy Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And I don't, I hate saying that, and it's not like a negative connotation, but yeah, it's a lot of research, and I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this right now that are like, I can't even believe I found myself to this path, and what this guy's even saying. Who even knows what the heck, But anyways, it's exciting. So yeah, so that's basically the in a nutshell the whole encompass. So now we're gonna go over to TBILL,
Mhm.
and we'll go over that. So
Great.
So there you go. Theta Cash, TBILL. Now we made sure that we connected the two terms, and Theta like shows like I guess what you could say is ownership. Not that they own it, but the network owns it. So Theta Fuel is has got a space. Theta Drop has a space as well. From the images that we've gotten so far. So Theta Cash, we really wanted to make sure that as this goes out across bridges and stuff, once again, we're trying to bridge that gap. I got to come up with a different term because it's just it's nauseating how many times I'm probably going to say that word here. But anyways, to entice, to bring in, and so Theta Cash is, we felt like, had the best name, and TBILL, like a dollar bill, and TBILL, it sort of goes with the same kind of like naming scheme, so that I think that what you would find is, somebody comes out with Theta Cash. At least this is how I work, and I don't know if everyone else does. I go to CoinGecko and I'm looking through something. I see, Theta Cash. I see that it's one word, and I would be like, well, that's probably a different project. And then I see TBILL, and I'm like, well, that's sort of like the same naming scheme. I wonder if it's like, and I would find out. Okay, it's on, but it's not done by Theta Labs, so on and so forth. So that was the thinking behind all of that.
I love it, man. I really love the naming. And TBILL, many people who work in the finance field recognize TBILL as Treasury Bill. And
Yeah.
I just have a gut feeling like this is going to become someday more important than the
Yeah.
Treasury Bill.
Yeah, that's funny,
So,
and I guess the thing about it is I guess to some extent, and I hate to say this because, oh my gosh, I would cringe if this was, but anyways, like, I guess some people might look at this like a meme, like, but it's the Treasury, so I don't know that this isn't certainly a dog, like, you know what I mean? So, like, I guess, we sort of thought, well, okay, well, as long as it's not looked at like a meme or something like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, so, I guess it is sort of funny because, just typing this in chat, the iPhone already capitalizes it. So it's a pre-programmed ticker symbol, so to say, that sort of caught me off guard. And then, I guess, with it, I mean, with it being like, like a Theta dollar bill, but, still like the whole, T-bill sense, it's like, I guess it had like, when somebody was pointing it out to me, I had like this vision of like, a younger, maybe grandchild or something like that going, oh yeah, I just bought a couple T-bills, and he's talking to his grandfather and what do you mean you just bought some T-bills, and like, he's like, yeah, here, I got them in on my phone, and he's just like, what is this world coming to? He just bought some Treasury, on his phone, like, anyways. So I thought, somewhat of humorous, but for us, it made it sort of felt, T-Cash didn't really, it didn't appeal to me, quite as much. And I don't know, I guess probably because like T-Money, like, I think that's, probably too close. But anyways, so yeah, it's,
I like it.
yeah. So, with that, it's we'll get into all these terms of, if some of the people don't know, rebasing, and then obviously metaverse liquidity token, and it's a TNT20 token. It's also going to be across the bridge, or pond, however you want to look at it, on the Ethereum blockchain. When we first start, we know gas is high, and we've planned the whole way through to make sure that it's not burdensome, but you'll see that there's some features that we're really excited about using, and maybe I'm just a bit too hopeful that there's going to be some resolutions on Ethereum, and they'll still be somewhat relevant, going forward here. But anyhow, so, and then, looking at the logo, we wanted to have that nice little T, and, we figured that, as you learn more about this coin, you'll see that we're trying to make it more like, I don't like to use the word sound money, because as you'll see, it's algorithmic based. But I guess what I'm saying, you'll see what I mean by sort of like the alternative store of value, so to say. And it'll make more sense once I explain it. And then the same thing with, like, gold. So diamond and gold is what we had thought, sort of to bring those two colors together. And that's where that logo sort of came from. All right, so now into some bit of the deeper subject here, and I'm gonna sort of like just dip the toe in and explain surface, and obviously I'll have deeper videos here coming out over the next weeks, months, years, explaining as much as I can explain. That's really some of the bigger focus is making sure. I'll put it to you like this, and I don't really want to say this because, God, I don't know. I really, really want, and I know this sounds crazy, I really want an 800 number for, like, GPooL. I want an 800 number wherever I can put it. And, like, that's like a lot of people to hire. That's a lot of different, like, logistics. But I mean, like, I try to put myself in the shoes of someone that just invested a large, like, amount of money and then is so confused they can't even figure out how to get it out. And God, that's not the user experience that I want anybody walking away having. And I countless, endless, sleepless nights I've looked at this going, is this intuitive enough? Like, that's the last thing I want, is somebody to feel that way. So anyways, with that, we're just gonna go here. So, all right. So with this rebasing, basically how it works is this: is now look, I'll put it like this. When this came out, Ampleforth originally had their white paper published and so on, and I saw this and I was like, holy cow, this is awesome for the crypto space. Like, I was just pumped. I mean, like, it's just, anyways, I think when executed, the proper way, or deployed in certain conditions, favorable, like, conditions, this is just such I think, a very powerful tool. And man, I am so excited with some of the development that our team has come up with it. And, this first sort of, I guess, 1.0 version that you're going to see and we're going to have for the, near future, is just the tip of the iceberg here. Anyways, so like I said, it might look like a lot of complex math and stuff, but really easy, really, really easy is this: is that we track the price of TBILL all day long, and we do it with oracles. And I don't want to get too deep into all of that, but just understand that if we need to get the price in a very safe and verifiable way. So with that being said, we have a trusted way to do it, oracles, and maybe in a deeper dive video I'll get into that. So basically what happens is that TBILL is targeted. Now, not pegged, not backed, just targeted to the purchasing power of 2019. And so that's two things that we need to trust. So there's two oracles. What ends up happening is that we need to get the price of TBILL, and we need to get what the CPI was in 2019, compare and do the math, so on. So basically, to be honest with you, I would have loved to go back to 1970 purchasing power and use that number. We could put whatever number we want in there. It just seemed like it was a bit too far from the dollar. So if you see right here on the screen in the pink is that depending on how you do the mathematics of the inflation, we're going to use the same as Ampleforth did. We come up with $1.06.50. as the purchasing power of a dollar from 2019, which is wild, man. Like, anyways, so with that being said, that's right here. That's the target. That's where, that's the sort of quote unquote the sweet spot of like the golf club, so to say, right? This is exactly where we want to be. And so the 5% swing up and the 5% swing down, this is like the sweet spot. So, and if this, so basically, what happens is that it looks for this price, and if it's outside of the 5% up or down, it'll do an adjustment. So what we can do is we can take a look over here at the other slide, or the other image on the slide. Now for this one, it's $1, just for simplicity, because 5% is 5 cents when you're coming off of the dollar. So just for easier math. So this is the real target, but let's just use this so it's a little bit easier to digest here. So this is up here's the price, and then down here is like supply. So basically what happens is that while it's trucking in its normal zone, it's just doing what it's doing. There's nothing that's going on. There's no nothing. It's just floating in its little price zone. What happens is it depends on what time. Well, we'll use UTC. So at 2 a.m. UTC every day, it looks at the price. So if at that day the price was $1.05, using this number here, what would end up happening is we have to scale up the supply. Now, in the next slide, I'll show a little bit more, but for this, let's just take the face value, and I'll explain sort of the whys and everything like that in the next slide. So basically what happens is the supply gets bumped up, and then we come over and it's still outside of the range, and it's over, so it bumps up again, and then it's still outside of the range, it bumps up again. What this group here is saying, what this whole thing is saying is this, okay? It's saying my functional market cap, what I need to function on a daily basis. So if we're looking at Gworld, what does all of Gworld need, sort of like outside of staking, into actual real liquidity, hand-to-hand changes and exchanges and so on and so forth? What does it need today? Okay, and that's where I think a lot of people really need to grasp the concept of and why we did it this way. But this coin and how it's designed says, to a razor blade of accuracy, what do I need? Not what could this be worth in 10 years from now. Okay, so it is very efficient, and it corrects itself every single day to make sure that it has the proper amount of money out there that is needed by everyone using it. Gworld, let's just say, but in a grander scheme, the rebasing function, is more than just Gworld. So I'm just trying to make sure everyone understands this isn't just an exclusive to us. It's a tool that we're utilizing. So with that being said, so right here, sort of into here, but anyways, right here it was saying, hey, we need more money to use for this day. And they showed it by pushing the price up. Now the price comes down here, okay, and it stays here in this zone, and it doesn't do anything. Now down here, okay, 95 cents, it's outside of the zone. So what ends up happening is, just like it brought supply up, it'll take supply down. Now, the important part to remember throughout this whole time, and I'll make sure I preface it again once the imagery is a little bit better on the screen. But anyways, is this: when you own 1% of TBILL, you, as long as you're not like selling and trading and stuff like that, if you literally buy 1% of TBILL and put it in your wallet, you will have 1% of the future market cap. Meaning, if the market cap is 1 million right now and it goes up to 10 million, you still have your 1% of that market cap. Now, throughout the day-to-day, there's going to be some dips down and then up. It's very hard to understand that a price a downward priced movement is not a dramatic event in your life. It's simply saying that we don't need as much money right now. It's simply saying we need to contract a little bit. It's not saying when we get to the top, or we get to what we would call market discovery instead of price discovery. Once we get to market discovery, you're along for the ride, no matter what happens. So I guess the thing about it is, it's the one thing about this coin is it's a different breed, and I apologize to everyone for that, but I'm promising everyone that there's a reason why I went down this route, and I didn't want to confuse people, and I certainly didn't want to make the entry, the barrier to entry any harder. But anyways, I think we're going to be able to all get there together. There's plenty of resources. There's a lot of rebasing coins out there right now, but I'll explain why they're not all sort of equal. But anyhow, basically what happens is that your supply contracts, but then as it goes back up again, it goes right back up. So just keep in mind that instead of saying, well, I had 100 coins, then, it was crazy for like a couple of weeks and I had 200 coins and now I only have 150 coins. Instead of that, just say, I own this percent of the future market cap and this market cap and so on and so forth. So as it keeps getting built out, obviously, there is some, so there's some speculative features built into this, meaning instead of speculating that the price is going to go up to $100 or so, that you're speculating that the market cap's going to go up and you're a participant in that earlier on. So if, we're making reference to Ampleforth did a 600X, and obviously this is not, I'm not, projecting or anything like that. I'm just simply saying, you can go and look at the long chart history on, CoinGecko, well, a couple of years, but anyways, I meant click on the long version so you can see where everyone started, and it slowly picked up, and then people started understanding what it was. We had this big DeFi, pump in that fall and so on and so forth, and did a 600X, and then it came back down to a more realistic. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that as well. But right now, I guess everybody that was in early is like, like a 280X from where they started. And there were days where they pulled back, supply and gave out, pulled back and gave out. So anyways, I don't want the viewers to get too confused or too worried or anything like that. It's normal behavior, and as long as you're along for the ride the whole way through, and you don't want to just exit, you're good to come to the future market cap with all of us. So all right, so if there's people that are really just confused at this point, this might simplify this. I'm hoping it does. I've thought long and hard of how to make sure that I display this for everyone to palate. So value increased, right? The thing about it is if you put your money into USDC, you're not getting any value increase. Well, they do pay out the inflationary, and that's very kind of them, I guess, and anyways, I guess what I'm saying is that stable coins are very good and they're a great store of value and so on and so forth. But we felt that you can have a store of value and still have increased value, and not just from staking. So that's from being an early participant and, before, so to say, the herd were to come. So, okay, so this is how Theta works, right? Your quantity stays the same in your wallet and the price goes to the moon, right? And it's like, okay, great, blast off, and here we go. Now, with TBILL, basically how it is that the price stays the same and your supply increases. So you end up with the same math equation. Market cap is price times quantity. It's just, which one are you cheering for, I guess, so to say, in your portfolio? Are you cheering for the more coins, or are you cheering for the higher price of the coins you already have? Yeah, that's basically the basic premise of it. And a lot of portfolio trackers are getting on board with tracking it the appropriate ways and such. So, like I've already said, If you own 1% of the market cap now, you'll own the future market cap. And that's basically just think about it like this, price and quantities going up, and if it's a situation, where, you got the price, and the quantities, and it's like back and forth anyways. And then the quantity goes up and, or the quantity stays the same and the price goes up. It's the same. It's just, I guess everyone's saying it's not the same, but it's backwards. I guess that's the best way to say it. Just, it's backwards, but you're still, it's nice to have store of value and have it to where you can still sort of play a speculative role. So here we are. So rebasing, like I was saying, is simply a tool. Basically what it is that so I don't want to just say like it's like a term blockchain or it's, proof of stake, so to say, because, those are probably just a bit less temperamental, I guess is the best way to say it. Anyways, they're a bit more static. So we've had some pretty good, working examples out there. Like I was saying, I was going to get to it down the road here, but so when looking at Ampleforth and the whole DeFi, and everything like that, the sort of quote unquote like blow off of DeFi and such, what we saw was, and what you see now is, if you go and you take a look, I don't want to say that they have too little supply in the liquidity pools and so on and so forth, but I will say that it's probably not as robust as it should be, and they would even want it to be. Probably that's the most polite way to say it. So here's the thing, okay? If we go back here and we say, okay, so basically what ends up happening is that the price dictates change in supply. When that happens, you got to make sure that you're getting accurate price information here, okay? It needs to be accurate. You're saying, right, if we remember, right, what are we saying? We're saying this is how much money the whole Gworld needs, the whole ecosystem needs, right? And if you're saying this is how much they need, and you're dealing with 5% on liquidity pools and such, and what ends up happening is you're looking at a small little look at the full picture, so to say. And as we know, very simple, it's easy to, it's not, not a puzzle, but if there's not a whole lot of liquidity there, the price moves easier. Okay. And that's a bit dangerous. Okay. Not dangerous like, oh my gosh, it's just dangerous in the sense that it's reckless, I guess is the best way to say it. Okay. You take a look at, the ebbs and flows, and it's a crypto. Okay. There's ebbs and flows. It's a market like that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we think that there's a better way. We know there's a better way, to keep it a little bit less of out of control fire hose like we have in front of us here. So with that said, how do you make sure that your liquidity pools are plush, right? And here's some of the things that we have for solutions, right now, and more coming, and always that's a priority. That is a huge priority of ours, is to make sure the LPs are plush, that we're getting the most accurate price movement information as we can. And from that, what we've got here is we're going to incentivize the long-term, staker, right? So if you've had your liquidity in the liquidity pool for a long period of time, we've got little thank yous, so to say, along the way. Incentives, however you want to say them. And we'll get to that in the, down the road here in slides. Now, this is a big one. Real big. We're going to pay both sides both sides of the liquidity pool. And I'll get into liquidity pools in a little bit, but for everyone that understands that out there already, we're paying both sides of the liquidity pool in the US dollar value, and we calculate that every 10 minutes. There's 144 events that happen throughout the day. Matter of fact, we're looking at the price every 15 seconds, and then we take an average from the 15-second data and we block weight it, and we record a pay for you, and I'll show you that in future slides. So anyways, so imagine this. You're holding on to your T-Fuel, and you left the house and it's 32 cents, and you're at work and it's 35 cents, and you get back home from dinner and it's 30 cents, okay? And you're sitting there going, wow, well, that was sort of fun to watch, and so on and so forth. But when you're watching that and you're staked in TBILL with T-Fuel, that whole time that it's up, you're getting a better APR. You're getting better rewards. You're getting the same APR, but on a higher value of US dollars. Okay, so what we do is we track. So every 10 minutes, we're saying, hey, listen, guess what? What you hold on to is more valuable right now. You're going to earn more rewards because of that. So now these little micro ups and downs and so on and so forth that everyone's going to see and everyone experiences, you're going to be able to sort of like celebrate them or get excited, because Lord knows nobody wants to sort of like sit there and day trade and swing trade this. Gosh, so why not, get a little bit of incentive here that you sort of can't find someplace else. And that's sort of what helps get the liquidity pools plush, right? Is hey, here you're gonna, let's take advantage of that little pump that just happened. Anyways, so moving on, protect the stakers against impermanent loss. Okay, been a pretty decent subject, I think, since the whole meter articles and such. The impermanent loss, and you can read all the articles, and the reason they call it impermanent is because if you get in and out at the same price and so on and so forth. We're not going to go down that route right now in this video, at least. But understand that we will cover that a little bit here in the next couple of slides, and we'll go deeper into it all in another video. So, now, another thing that we had seen is the single mechanism to change supply. Okay, what that means is this: you take a look at Ample, you look at its history and so on, and you see that there's like days where it was $2. Heck, there was a day that it was $4, I believe. Anyways. Let me explain, because I know it's hard to get your mind around what I'm talking about here is this, okay? If you own that supply, like we were talking about, listen to this. This is very simple math. If you go in to a coin that's supposed to be around $1.06, depending on purchasing power of the new 2019 dollar and how that swings up, but if you go into a coin that's supposed to be around, or going to be around, not supposed to be, excuse my language, but it's going to be around that value. If you buy it at $2, okay, so let's do easy math here. $1, $2. It's supposed to be $1. You bought it at $2. What needs to happen is this: the market cap needs to double the market cap, depending on when you get in. We're not talking about the people that got in the first couple of weeks here and so on and so forth. We're talking about the people down the road. This is built for longevity here, So anyways, if you get in at $2 and you buy 10 coins for $20, and the price comes back down around the dollar mark eventually here, you have 10 coins that you paid $20 for. What needs to happen is you need to have, 20 coins that you paid $20 for. So what I'm saying is this: we saw where, so here's the thing. If you were just to look at the rebasing formula and everything like that, that's perfectly fine, I guess, to say, where in a mathematical sense that it's doing its job, and as designed, it made sense. But it's not that's certainly not anything that you would want to like give to a user and say, here, come invest and wait for our market cap to double anyways before you break even. We're not talking about make money, break even. Now, with that being said, obviously, if that is the case with all the mechanisms involved with our interest that we're paying and everything like that, you'll be able to break even sooner than that. But what I'm saying is to mitigate that user experience from the start is this: have more than just the price, because here's what's happening is it's doing its job. The price is going up to $2 because it needs more supply. It needs more market cap, right? And that's its indicator to give it more, and it's giving it more, and so on and so forth, But what we said is that let's not have that be the only way to change supply. Let's make it so that our APR is aggressive enough that we're changing the supply in a, I guess, safer sense, meaning that somebody doesn't need to enter and wait for the market cap to double. I'm not saying that there isn't going to be an influx and you guys aren't going to see a $2, day, one day or something like that, or a couple days. I'm talking about, a year, 2 years from now, when we've pretty much found where we need to be and there's just like a big spike for some reason, But that, once again, rests on the plushness of the liquidity pools. That's the big thing is that, like I'm saying, when we look back and we say, oh, there's only this amount of the supply that was there, and that's why it was easily enough to push to $2, it's certainly something that gets fixed with the first part of this, and then the second part just sort of like does a double whammy, so to say. So with that being said, we control it in two ways. We do where we make sure that the liquidity pool is plush, and we give out a nice size, healthy size APR, APY, however you want to do the math, and it's static APR. And what I mean by static is it doesn't matter how many people are involved, okay? It doesn't matter how many hands are out. Everyone's going to get the same size piece of bread, okay? So what I'm trying to say is it's not like the average staking situation. It's not that you come in and there's a pool of assets that everyone gets to break a piece of it off. Now, here we're saying that we're giving out high APR and it's static and we're paying on the US dollar value and everything like that. And everyone's like, well, how the heck are you doing that? And the reason is this, okay? When you look at a normal protocol and staking and everything like that, that blockchain is designed, or that coin mechanism, however you want to say it, that value, the store of value on that is controlled or is discovered, right? The value of it's discovered by the price alone. So when you have a supply chain change, it's different. It's catastrophic. It sort of plays on the opposite of what it is that you're trying to do. Inflation, easy enough. That's all I'm saying. It's a fancy way to say nobody likes inflation. And no one likes inflation because it dilutes down what you're holding, okay? In ours, inflation is not only not a negative, it's desired. It's what moves everything. So we're allowed a lot more luxury when it comes to rewards and incentives and so on and so forth, because basically what it is that that's what we have to do. We need the supply to get bigger. It's not hurting anybody, so to say, as like an inflation would be a dilutive, and not hurt. But anyways, so we got the high APR, the static APR. We can do that because we have the luxury, because that's actually what needs to happen. And then what we're going to do is everybody gets their coins. Listen, this is different than what even Ample does, okay? We've got a couple different things in here, obviously, that different than what Ample did. But normally what you do is you go and you stake the coins, and then if you go and you want to stake more coins, you have to stake it and pay gas and everything like that. We've designed it very simple, and I'll show you how we've designed it. But let's just put it this way. Everybody gets paid. Everyone gets their coins in their wallet every day, 2 hours before rebase. So If they want to dump and the price is up a little high and they dump, it's not so catastrophic. It's not like you're getting coins that you've been holding out for 6 months because you want to earn that reward that we give to incentivize you. And if you go and you withdraw and, this, that, the other thing. Anyways, what I'm saying is that we're going to hand people tokens and their rewards just like we would rebase. So every day you get them, and you're going to help control, say, a price that's a little bit higher that, wouldn't be the best entry point, so to say, right? This coin is, I know it's going to say, oh, this is common sense. This coin is better to buy at 90 cents than it is to buy at $2. Obviously, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's more advantageous for us to make sure that there's a bit more downward force than there is this garden hose with this guy with his sandal. So on to this next slide here. Okay, so why is it so exciting? Okay, why did we take all the time and energy to develop this and make sure it was safe for everybody and so on and so forth? Not safer, and is we're in, what we would all agree would be a bull run, and we're not completely sure, when, where, how, ups, downs, and all that such. But we probably pretty much can rest assured that soonish enough, there's going to be some profit taking that not only some of us will want to do, but some of crypto is going to want to do. And if we take a look at our options, we have the option of cashing out, going into the bank, and I don't know about that, or cashing out and, a different slew of things. But a lot of people are going to want to stay in, USDC, the stable coin, or I don't know, some people might still be risky enough to go into Tether. And anyways, so with USDC, right now, its market cap is about $40 billion. Okay, so USDC's market cap's about 40 billion. And let's just say that, we had a little bit of a blow off and there's people taking profits and such. Let's just say 10 billion sold their crypto and said, I want to put it in the bank. That's where I feel safest with it, or I'm going to move it into, stocks or whatever. Anyways, that money's come out of USDC and into a bank account. So what happens is, when people are sort of like cashing out and so on and so forth, we potentially will see USDC's market cap go down. Now, it might not. There might be enough individuals that are arbitrage and taking the opportunity to come in when it finally comes down. But anyways, neither here nor there. It's certainly not going to go from 40 while we're having a bit of a downturn and people are wanting to take profits. It's certainly not going to go to 40 and up to facilitate 170. So if there's $170 billion that's trying to jam themselves into that little box and potentially even dealing with a smaller box, like, they're not going to be able to jam that in there. It's just because that's not how it's designed. Now, when you take a look at TBILL and you come over here and you say, oh, okay, we started at 40 billion and then we went through some rebases because the market's telling us we need to be bigger. Our base needs to get bigger. We need to rebase and get a bigger base. We open up the base and we dump in what needs to go into it. And so the thing is this, okay? Not saying that I hope that these markets don't continue to run forever, because I hope they do. Excuse my language, but if there's a time soon enough where, we're still on a 4-year cycle or what have you, and there's some pullback, I wanted to make sure that this was out there for people on the Theta blockchain too, nonetheless, so that they didn't have to pay a bunch of gas fees and such. Like, here's the thing. God only knows what gas is going to cost in a big blow-off situation like that. I mean, you're going to take, $10,000 and pay $40,000 in gas. I'm being obviously facetious. I don't know it's going to get to $40 or $40,000 in gas, but it's congested here, So it was important that we made sure that we had, over here on this side of the, so to say, the pond, we had, quote unquote, like a solution, a little bit of a safe haven, or, an expanding base for you to take some of your gains. And then on top of that, the best part is that, instead of just sitting in a stable coin like USDC, you got the APR you can earn. So now here we are, maybe in a little bit of a pullback or a little, bit of a bear like hiccup or something, and you're staking it and you're getting a decent APR on it, and so now let's talk about the static yields real quick here. So very simple. You've got the average crypto out there, whether it be Theta, TBILL, T-Drop, anything, mostly anything. Basically, what ends up happening is that you've got the APY of the coin, and here's total stakers. What ends up happening is when there's more stakers that come in, that APY shrinks. For TBILL, it's not the case. What ends up happening is that the APY and total stakers, as total stakers get bigger, the APY stays the same. It doesn't have to shrink. And that's the big premise over here is, you go and you take a look at all these big high APYs and you're like, okay, but if X amount of people move into it, then it's down. It just keeps moving downward. And it's like the reason is because in their coin, that's like sort of like not dangerous, but it's certainly not desirable for people to be diluted from heavy APR. Once again, in ours, it's part of the design and it's welcomed. So, all right. So liquidity pools, like I was saying, we're starting off, like I said, we're going to, start launching this stuff the first week of December here. And, we're going to have links to these liquidity pools on, the TBILL.io, so you just keep your eyes peeled for them. And basically, we're going to be on Theta Swap, like I was going over, where we're going to mirror the smart contracts and such. So you'll have your option to go and stay on the Theta blockchain and stake your T-Fuel with your TBILL, and we'll have guides out for it. To be honest with you, it's not too many more steps than regular staking. The only reason why I would hesitate to say it is if you need to like sort of get the wallet ready or set up a wallet. There's just a couple more steps. But with us forking MetaMask, there's a lot of guides. So if our guide doesn't explain it, intuitively enough, I'm sure you'll be able to find guides out there. Just remember, we've only done a slight bit of like graphic tweaks, and just at this point it's more just going to be more tailored to Theta users. But anyways, so, and then what we have is we're going to have the USDC. This isn't wrapped USDC, but this is wrapped TBILL, and it's on the Ethereum blockchain, and it's a smart pool on Balancer. So Ampleforth collaborated with Balancer to make a smart pool, and basically how that works is that you end up going and shifting the ratio off of the 50-50 that normally occurs. And I won't get too deep into that, but just understand that smart pool helps with impermanent loss. And we plan on bringing it to Theta Swap, as you saw in the big Gworld graphic. That's smart pools is one of the things we'd like to interface over here, so that we're here ready to rock and roll, and people can potentially get out of take a little profits of T-Fuel and into TBILL, and now they're on the wrapped USDC on the Theta blockchain, and even less impermanent loss. So here we are here. Now, there's an element to all of this when I was saying that there's incentives for long-term stakers, as well as there is the high APY, APR, difference between APR and APY. And there are some developers that I've seen confuse the term, and they just slap APR on what should be an APY. But basically what it is that APY is when you compound it. Now keep in mind, because you get paid every day, you'll be able to compound it every day. Mathematically, it's possible. What I'm saying is we wouldn't use to compound it once a minute, because that's certainly not what you're going to be capable of, but you're capable of compounding it daily. So when you're looking at the APY, it's important to say, well, how often are they telling me that this number, I got to compound it to get this number? Where did the APY come from, and is it even physically possible to compound it as many times as they've done the math to show? Anyways, I guess I should have referred to the header, but earn, sell, and buy, the staking multipliers. So that's right here. Now you're taking a look here at what all of our patrons from the early days are going to get here. This is their NFT, their multiplier. Everyone is going to get this 1.5x 1 million coin. We'll go a little bit into depth a little bit later of what that 1 million coin means in number sense, but they're getting a multiplier. So what does that mean technically? Is that
really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say patron, you mean like someone who had supported GPooL on Patreon from the early days when GPooL was, taking in zero revenue, doing it all kind of pro bono.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We had some, pretty strong patrons that were very helpful, and we want to make sure that we give them a little gift, and that gift technically is like a 6-month head start, so to say. So if you were one of our patrons, and I don't reach out to you, I've got a lot of you in DM and such, but just come and find me, and sooner than later, and make sure that you get your multiplier. Because here's the thing, even if you don't participate in TBILL, you can sell this multiplier on the exchange, and trust me, there will be somebody that wants to buy it. So even if you aren't willing to participate or don't want to, or what have you, you'll still be able to get some value out of this. So come and claim it, and take it onto the market if that's what you're deciding to do. So you earn that 1.5x multiplier 180 days staking. Now we keep the clock running and we watch, and what basically happens is like I was saying, we run it different to where you don't have to keep coming and adding coins to your stake and everything like that. You activate once, and when you activate, we watch what you're doing, and we apply it to all the contracts and everything like that. So we have oracles that are watching what you do, and they're reporting, and they're arguing, and they're voting, and they are agreeing all day long. So you activate your address, and then you can keep adding to the liquidity pool, and you don't have to keep coming back, because it's imperative that we do that. Because if you want to go and support the token on the Ethereum blockchain, every day that you claim that reward, you have to pay gas. Now, as a small caveat to that as well, I want the people to understand that with that, and I don't want to sort of say that we know sort of what's best or what have you. We've decided that even if you're on the Ethereum or you're on a different blockchain, we're still going to pay you in a TNT20 token. And that's for a lot of reasons. One is that's the roots, and the other reason is because you can take advantage then of, staking those rewards on a inexpensive blockchain. Take them over to the TBILL and add those there, and then you can be on both blockchains. And if you really, really want to take your rewards across and put them into over there, we got the bridge for you. So you'll be able to take them over there. But, the other side note to this is, we're going to give, when you go and you stake to the liquidity pool on the Ethereum side of things, we're going to give you a tiny bit of TBILL. Now, we talked to Theta Labs, and we asked them if they wanted to help participate with that, and they do, because it's technically like a faucet, but it's also bringing people over from Ethereum. So basically what's going to happen is You go, you add liquidity to the Ethereum side, you get a tiny bit of T fuel, and that should be enough for you to either, move it, to swap it. Now, we're not going to give you enough to cross the bridge, so to say. We might. We're exploring that, because, to be honest with you, if you're paying that high of gas prices, you're not going to be able to exploit it. Meaning, if this was just something where somebody could just go and click a button like a faucet, they could just like drain us, so to say. What this is you're going to go and you're going to pay high gas prices to stake those coins. So you're going to exhaust a lot more money doing that than what we would give you in T fuel value. And we're still going to work out the details with Theta Labs at what is a reasonable dollar amount, or T fuel amount. So anyways, as you can see, the 2x multiplier is 365 days. So when you're staked 365 days, you get a 2x multiplier. Mind you, you can sell these. You don't have to hold on to them. You don't have to stake them yourself. You can earn them. And basically what it is that we're tracking how many coins you have staked when you hit your milestone. Now, with that,
So just to recap, sorry,
no,
so unless you're a Patreon member from back in the day, you start out at a 1x multiplier. And once you have X amount of coins staked for 180 days, you graduate to a 1.5x multiplier, meaning the rewards you get go from 50% APR to 75% APR at that 180-day mark. Again, unless you either were a Patreon or bought on the market one of the Patreon members' multiplier NFTs, right?
Yes, but obviously, maybe not so obvious. That'll be part of like the giveaway that we'll do at GPooL. Not necessarily a million coin multiplier, but and obviously we're going to give you some NFT multipliers for your audience, and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure that these are getting in the hands, and they're great little giveaways too. And to be honest with you, there might be maybe some Easter eggs out there, or some 2x's earlier on too, where they come and start surfacing a bit early, as some contests.
Oh, great. That's awesome. Much appreciated. But I guess just to level set it for people so they understand, unless you get one of those giveaways or buy it on the market, you have to graduate to the multiplier through the seniority of staking to 180, then 365. So like staying staked for those periods of time.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you.
Now, this multiplier, it's on your TBILL side only, meaning because we do give you that nice kicker of a bonus, and we're paying you on the value of T fuel. So as your T fuel grows, your US dollar value grows, and you keep getting more and more APR off of that US dollar value as it stays there. And not to mention, you are going to still have that T fuel at the end. Now, there is a little bit of ups and downs and ins and outs, because you're an automated market maker. You basically have a bunch of spot trading going through you. But not only do you have this APR to sort of like offset that, but you also have all the trading fees that everyone trades through. So you earn that in a liquidity pool. That's nothing groundbreaking. That happens on all liquidity pools, but it's just a side note, because I with all these other like incentives and mechanisms, sometimes I forget to mention that's the classic ones are there as well. They're not gone too, but we just added to it. So yeah, that's basically how it goes. Is that you end up with your multiplier on, and the one slide I'll show you how that's going to look, and everyone, it's going to be very easy math. I wanted to make sure that this wasn't complex, and we didn't have to publish a big huge algorithm so people can make their calculators that they enjoy doing, and I enjoy looking at, to be honest with you. So anyways, moving on to the waterfall of coins. So here we are. I wanted to make sure that people understand that these multipliers can be stacked in a linear fashion or across like blockchain, so to say. Not necessarily has to go across the blockchain, because if we end up taking on like like a meter's liquidity pool, and we say, okay, hey, let's go to meter. Well, that's still on the Theta blockchain, so it's not always on a different blockchain. But right now, what we have is a separate blockchain. So, anyways, so let's say you have 2 million TBILL, and you want to stake them for the 1.5x multiplier. You can either go and get your second or buy both, depending on if you didn't have the first one yet. You'll be able to go and get them and stack them in a linear fashion in the same liquidity pool, and you stake your 2 million. Or what we have also decided to do is let you take that same multiplier and use it on both liquidity pools and potentially a third one that's coming. So what we did here is why we decided to do it this way is because we know right now, especially Ethereum's blockchain is expensive in gas. So we said that there's a cost that the user is going to have to decide on spending. Is it more cost effective to go buy that other multiplier or to pay the gas? And that's basically where this sort of derived from, and it just sort of makes sense. If they're willing to pay the gas to go across the bridge and help us sort of say support the troops on that side, we wanted to make sure that there was an incentive to do that. Sort of a thank you for paying the gas. I mean, I know it's a smart pool, and it's nice because you're sort of sitting in USDC as well. But anyways, neither here nor there. It just makes sense, to let you use it across the blockchain if you're paying that gas. So okay, so just real quick, we made it simple. There's a lot of the stuff I've already mentioned earlier. Simple activation, single time. Now, there is a situation where if you go and you take the liquidity out of the liquidity pool and it's out for like 5 days, that's where we will ask you to like reactivate. And that's because if we keep just adding a bunch of zeros into our database and just gobbling up space, it doesn't. Anyways, so, and it's on the, the Theta blockchain. So the gas is, reasonable, obviously. So, and then, daily rewards go straight to you now. No claiming fee. Now that's for right now. Okay. Cause we're going to get that fee from other places, but if TFuel starts going up and the fees are, comparable, and I know that JE was saying he's going to have that auction and bidding system and so on and so forth, but I guess what I'm saying is that I cannot commit to forever on this statement. Just know that we are going to front the fees for you not having to pay a claim. And listen, we're realists, okay? You didn't come to us and say, give it to me every single day, okay? There's some people out there that would say, well, I'd just let it collect and I'd pay gas once. So you're taking gas away from me that I really wouldn't want. And that's the thing. We don't want to be big government here where we sit there and tell you how we're going to spend your money for you. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't know that I can promise it forever. And obviously we're going to make sure we can. We want to make it a comfortable experience. I think everyone can tell I've got high hopes for the prices of these assets, Theta, TFuel, so on and so forth. And, when you start looking at the dramatic number where you're sitting there going, okay, if it hits this number and we get this kind of like numbers of amounts of addresses that we have to pay, the more addresses we have to pay, the more, like we're talking about like $1.5 million a year. So with that being said, if that goes up by a 10x, that's a pretty healthy thank you still to support out there. So let's just see sort of where that goes. We'll table it and let's wishful thinking and hope, and maybe it's never a problem because, like I said, we got some mechanisms in place that are going to help offset that. That's something I think, maybe I didn't drive home and I don't want to get down, in the weeds with it, but just think about it this way, guys. We're not going to charge a fee for services. Like that's not like, I'm not saying that GPooL isn't a service and we're not charging a fee there. I guess what I'm trying to say is we're not going to gouge you on the crossing the bridge. Like that's a tool we want people to use, and we're not sitting here saying, here, use this and we're going to, profit from you. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, that's why I like staking in the first place, is because nobody has to pay me to earn more money. It's a mathematical algorithm, and I don't have to, somebody else doesn't have to lose for me to win. It's not me lending money and people paying interest on it, and or finding a greater fool. Or anyways, so okay, then we've already covered the longer term stakers. Okay, we didn't cover this. So basically, this is how it goes. Okay. If you take a look here, so this person's got their little countdown, and it's counting for them, and I don't mean little in a negative or derogatory term. So basically, they have it and they're watching it, and then let's just say that they sit there and they go, "Oh wow, I want to rebalance my liquidity pool or what have you, because like I've got a lot more T-fuel because everybody's been buying T-bill, and I'd like to rebalance that, or I've whatever different reasons. I'm not here to sort of like guess at everyone's reason, but if they want to unstake, we didn't want them to lose all the time that they had vested in it. So we're just going to put a pause. So with that being said, though, the pause is as long as you're paused, or as long as you have the liquidity down to zero. Like I said, we'll track you for 5 days. You come back, you reactivate. It's not like it zeroes out. We have records. We're keeping track. With that being said, though, with this is that we're going to make sure that the program is exactly 1 year and 2 weeks. That's what we have set right now. Now, as you can see, extension is based on a vote. Governance token, ding ding. I guess I should sort of point out each time that governance token is part of this mechanism. Here's the thing: you got a year for the governance token to get up there, proliferate, everything like that, get everything all established and stuff, and then we're gonna, have the vote. If we change what liquidity pools are needed, or we change the rates, or there's going to be a lot of probably discussion over this. Anyways, we did a year and 2 weeks, meaning we wanted to give enough people to come in on day 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Within the first 2 weeks. Just keep in mind, if you are going to plan on doing some pausing, we're going to give some buffer in there. It's not like if you miss it by 3 seconds or something like that. We'll give a healthy buffer. I'm not going to give you a day buffer, but, potentially maybe just shy of a day. I don't know. We're still working on what makes sense numbers, and maybe we'll just see what we get. Anyways, but there will be a buffer. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you want to earn that 2-year multiplier, it's best to at least get started. And like I said, you can always add, so, I'd imagine there's probably be some people that just want to, start the clock with something small, see how it even works out. They want to still probably wrap their brain around rebasing and impermanent loss and everything like that. So I guess what I'm saying is, you're probably best off to start a clock if you want it, it's there if you're going to use it, and so on and so forth. So anyways, so this was the slide I was referring to. It should be should be easy enough to handle and read. So basically, like I've been saying this whole way through, we're paying, on both sides, APR every 10 minutes. And so basically what you would see here, when this is live, there's going to be dashes going through when, so right now, if we've already put this information in, you would see 0020 as dashes because we're waiting on that data. So anyways, so basically, like I was saying, 144 of these a day are going to populate. Now, basically what happens is we track how many you have in each of the multipliers. So right here, this individual had 100 tokens in the T-bill and 100 tokens in USDC. So that was a total value locked of $200. So the multiplied total value lock was 200 because it didn't have anything in the multipliers. So this was the rewards issued. Now up here, they added a little bit more into the stake pool, so to say. And basically what ends up happening is that we multiply. So we wanted to make sure that it was going to be easy for everyone to read, basically from a standpoint, is that whatever this number is, okay, so instead of having to do, okay, this APR and such, the multiplied value, so that everyone can visualize it, we're going to have to put an asterisk because this is like just a number used for math. It's not like we're giving you that value. But anyways, this number is what you do by 50%, because basically the math of the rest of the math has been done on the front end, and you're just on the back end, and you just take this annualized 50%, and that's what the reward is going to populate. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had as much of the math done as possible so that they can take and work their calculators and so on and so forth. So this is the price, tracking the price so that you can get the value. Like I said, TFuel's up to 40 cents right now, so your value's coming a little higher and so on and so forth. So, okay. So, impermanent loss here is like, a bit of a tricky subject. But like I said before, we've got the smart pool already on the Ethereum side. We're working on bringing the smart pool over to the Theta side. We're paying out a hefty APR on both sides. Every 10 minutes, we're going to average your total value locked in US dollars. And we're paying that 50% static. Doesn't change. More people come in, doesn't matter. And then what we have is we have governance token backed impermanent loss insurance. So what this means is this, okay? You're in the smart pool. We're paying out all of this, and this is like the last defense here. Okay, this would be something really wild would happen. We're going to track, and we're going to issue you governance token if there was still a slight bit of impermanent loss that these ones didn't catch up here. Basically, now we're going to track this, and we're going to airdrop it when we do some of the other airdrops, and we'll get into that here just this next slide, and then we're almost wrapped up here. So basically we're going to track it and then airdrop whatever would need to compensate if there is impermanent loss. So there's that. Now here we are back on this slide. So just, I mean, I guess we've already sort of went over this slide numerous times, and the governance token. And what's going to happen is that this governance token, for people that are staking on GPooL, you're going to get an airdrop as well. So once all those numbers are finalized, we're going to make them public so that people know that what they have coming to them. So it's sort of like the Uniswap airdrop, where they look back at your history, and based off a mathematical formula, you get paid exponentially or proportionally to your activity. So everyone that stakes at GPooL and has staked at GPooL is going to get some of the governance token. And then obviously,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be really nice, I think, for everyone. And then the TBILL, with staking TBILL, it's going to be the same because it's one of obviously the coins we have at GPooL. So you're going to earn, you're going to earn some of the governance token for staking, TBILL, and then with G Twins. Basically, what's going to happen? There's ways to earn the governance token over there, and I won't go too into depth with all of these, and because we're going to have an article that will explain it all. And then obviously, not obviously, but this is what we're working to do is we want to support that T-drop contract that was just dropped. No pun intended, drop. But anyways, so we want to make sure that our secondary market, so if you remember, you got the storefront that's like Amazon, where you go, and this is all just like sort of G-Twin related here, okay? Where you create, sell, and entertain with the little meme factory. This one's a secondary market where you're going to be able to bring other assets in from, Theta drop, and, eventually once, we get the bridge to wrap NFTs, holy smokes, it's a mind wrap in itself, anyways, they'll be coming over from Ethereum and such. But anyways, you're going to earn T drop when you use TFuel, just like you do on the Theta drop. And then the governance, our governance token, you'll earn if you use TBILL on our marketplace. So we'll have the incentives, for that secondary market, and that's where people are going to sell like their or their multipliers, and I don't want to say used clothes, but used clothes or what have you. So, anyways, that's that secondary market, and so basically. And then there's like voting mechanisms for, wait till you see some of the cool stuff. We have voting mechanisms for Gworld. Oh, it's going to be really cool. Anyways, so yeah, so, TBILL, we're going to have that vote for, the APR. And I'm telling you right now, like I said, micro voting is just going to be a huge thing. And it's something that we're planning for. Like, this governance token is really going to be like, it's going to be, I think it's going to be really fun. And I really think that, people are going to get some, enjoyment out of it. And I think it's going to help like prop people up. We want to make sure, like you were saying, that those underdogs, if you got some governance token and you can vote them into, a visual role where you really like, their clothing line, something like that. Anyways, so, okay, real quick, the wallet, GTX.io. It's just that it looks just like a MetaMask, hardware wallets, all that stuff. It's all the same. It's just like I said, we're just going to have a few little tweaks to it. So it's just tailored for the Theta experience. Now, one of the things right away is that when you're on the Theta blockchain, we're going to have the color changed up here. Okay. We want to make sure, like I said, I know that a lot of people have not done bridges and moving coins and stuff like that, but trust me, you're going to want to know like what blockchain you're on and so on and so forth. Not that your address does, changes or doesn't change or what have you, but I guess what I'm saying is that, and that's the big thing to drive home is that when you're using the wallet, the address is the same. So if somebody, we've seen so many times, somebody freaks out, they're like, oh my God, I sent TFuel to my Ethereum address, blah, 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 blah. It's the same. It's all going to be the same. So anyways, so what we're also building in here is that once you mint your NFT, you're not going to continuously mint NFTs when you want to change a shirt. Okay. But if you own that shirt in your wallet, you're going to be able to save your global G-Twin configuration. Obviously, it's not a glamorous word, and we're coming up with something a little bit more clever. But, your global G-Twin at this point, let's just think of that. So basically, anybody on any website that decides that they want to use our wallet data, so to say, and they'll be able to display your preferred style, what you dressed your G-Twin up for that day, or the week or the holiday or what have you. So with that being said, we're also going to have visual NFT lists right here. Okay, now I know my developer was like, but an NFT is an asset, and I just was like, listen, just look at it like we're filtering the assets. We want people to not have to go and travel to these websites to load these things. We want people just to be able to see them in their wallet, and eventually, the mobile wallet, and now you're able to see your NFTs. And not only that, you click and select it and send it to somebody. I mean, how cumbersome is it, sometimes to send NFTs? Like, let's click on it in the wallet and let's send it. Like, you know what I mean? So anyways, so I just find that silly that we don't already have that. They're going to be smaller little previews of the, bigger NFT. And, once we can support animated and, GIFs, we will, but I'm saying like a little bit more aggressive and, animations. Anyways, so color changing, we went over that. Liquid Pay, just real quick, it's part of like the collaboration that we're working on with Meter Passport. Is that what we want? Is we want the feature to be able to be like this, where you have somebody that wants, let's say that you have somebody that wants Ethereum, and you only have TFuel. We want you to be able to click and to select, okay, this individual, I've got TFuel and I need to send this person, you go, okay, TFuel, I'm sending TFuel. It needs to be Ethereum, and this is how much Ethereum, and we say how much TFuel it is, and you hit send, and they get the Ethereum, and it does all the swapping and everything like that, the bridges and stuff. Now, there's two different Ethereum, so to say, right? You have the Ethereum that's on the Ethereum network, and you have the wrapped Ethereum. So Meter Passport is going to have liquidity pools for wrapped. And if somebody is okay with getting the Theta version wrapped of that token, that will be very helpful. And it's something that, cheaper fees and or less expensive fees. And, I guess what I'm saying is we wanted to make sure that we'd be able to tap into like their liquidity too, if we can facilitate it on the one blockchain. And what we really want to do is make sure that our liquidity or the TBILL liquidity pools are helping cross the blockchains. So like, while they're going to have wrapped tokens and they're going to work in the Theta ecosystem, we want to make sure that people have the ability to send across too. So that's liquid pay. So think about it like your portfolio is liquid. Like you can change different different coins. So then username at GTX. And now these are going to be NFT usernames. And basically they will be in substitution for regular long addresses. So you'll go and register the NFT and you'll get that username, and then everybody can send coins with the GTX wallet to your username. Not only that, it'll be the username you take into Gworld. And what's awesome here is that because we own the GTX.io and because we're doing username at GTX, when we throw a little .io in here, now we can send an email. And what really is going to be cool is, let's say that you're in Gworld Metaverse and somebody's at work and they send you an email to your username at gtx.io, adding their work email, where we all know it's so hard sometimes with those firewalls and stuff, but they send a message and it pops up on your screen in Gworld, and they're able to talk to you on a, let's just say a work Wi-Fi that they would never be able to use our app or anything. Anyways, so we wanted to just make sure that there's little things like that when it comes to like registering like usernames and such, to where it also can be used as your email address too. So like, you can, sign up for a bank account with it and route your crypto with it. So anyways,
that's so cool. Save me BigDog1111.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So
thank you.
So, now push invoicing real quick, down and dirty. Why are we all still trying to guess? Did we spell the person's, did we put their address in right? That's legacy. But now at this point it's going to be spelling or making sure that, is it 1111 or, is there a spot or a space in there? You know what I'm saying? So I guess what I'm saying is Venmo already does this. Why can't we just push an invoice to somebody? Now, I'm not saying that you're going to push an invoice to them and it's a legal document and they have to owe you this, or it's just an invoice for right now, and you're going to be able to change what it is. If they say, hey, you owe me $10 and you're like, I want to give you 12, or I actually only owe you 8. It's literally just like a, look at it like a little, like, like a little nod, like, hey, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just pushing your information, so you're not sending coins as like a test.
So it's like a request.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, hey, this is the right thing to send to. Click on it. You click on it.
And this is the right account.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have to send these little test ones all over the place all the time. I think we all, send all these little test transactions, and it's like, this is not something that needs to go over the blockchain when it's just literally just trying to make sure that the right like text is in a field. So anyways, so we're going to have that, and then we're going to have something that's called hard pass. So sort of like, like a little bit of a pop culture thing where it's like you hard pass on something, and basically what that's going to be is like, you think about it like it's a hard fast rule, or it's a hard rule, and you're passing the coin to somebody else. So let's say that, not let's say, I am TFuel and a Theta, Maxi, I guess, if we want to say it. And I only want those 2 coins. Well, for right now, at the very beginning, it's going to be, and not by right now, meaning the wallet version that you download in the next couple of days here, but soon enough, we're going to have it to where you'll be able to say, all I want is TFuel. Then when you have your Big Dog, username out there, when people go to send you, I don't know, Shiba or something, right? It converts it into TFuel, and it's already in T-Fuel waiting for you, and you don't have to look at these random coins. Now, I will say the list will be sort of smaller at first. Shiba probably won't be one that we do first, but who knows? It might be on the first list. But anyways, I guess what I'm saying is this is what liquidity pools bring to us, is that we have these plush liquidity pools that we're able to tap into. And yes, it's liquidity for the metaverse and buying, your NFTs and all that kind of such, but it's also liquidity to help facilitate an easier experience in crypto, where it's not like, okay, well, I got this TFU, I got to go find, this exchange, I got to exchange, I got to pay this fee, I got to do this and this and this, and you got this big hoops to jump through. Just put the field and hit send, and let's start having these algorithms do this stuff for us. So anyways, that's hard passes so look at liquid pay as you send out and you change. Hard passes that you change what's coming in. So that, and then obviously there would be the blockchain fee associated with that. We're not going to front that, but as long as you had the appropriate amount of funds to swap it in your swap balance that you give, it's not like you're going to be able to just go and there's going to be an exploit and you're going to empty your wallet. You're going to put this into a vault so that you can help facilitate the swaps. And it's only a small little bit that you put in there. So anyways,
that's all really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. I am excited too. There's so much more. I'm just so happy and excited that this is all able to all come to sort of gather here. So all right. So we've already covered this. This is the secondary market. This is on GTX.io, not to be confused with the market or with the storefronts over on GTwin.io, where it's like I was saying, more like Amazon. So think about it like Amazon and eBay, so to say, where you're over here in the secondary market and so on. So like I was saying, earn our governance token when you use TBILL, and earn T-drop when you use T-Fuel. So whoops, there we go. Okay, so yeah, this is okay. We've gone over this, I think, plenty now. So here we are, Gworld, just a little promo, to get everybody, understanding what it is that we're talking about here. So T-Bill is going to be the native currency in Gworld. And then, like I was saying, we're going to be the first metaverse built using Theta nodes and Theta technology. We want to do more than just the first one on Theta's blockchain here. We want, like I said, we really want to be purpose driven here and build some of these tools that are going to be used and so on and so forth. I don't need to rehash. So now here's
that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited. So now here's an example of something that okay, NFT factory. We're not going to have an NFT factory. I guess it was sort of a catchy sort of phrase I was just thinking. Okay, so basically there's so many different ways to think of staking T-Bill and what you actually can do with it, and how, it's going to be really interesting. What is going to happen from it, and this is one of the things, so you stake your T-Bill, you get T-Bill rewards, you go buy the NFT. So from staking T-Bill, you've already earned some of the governance token, and then you go take it, you buy an NFT, and you earn even more governance token, and now you hold this NFT and you hold the governance token. And basically some people might just come and just stake T-Bill so that they can just have an endless supply of cool NFTs or clothing or a car, they get to ride the bull or what have you. So I guess when it's the metaverse liquidity token that we're talking about, really let your mind run wild with what it is this token is actually going to be for, and that we're going to actually have it to where it's at a razor's edge of what it needs to be size wise, as far as the market cap. Then here's the compounding method, right? Where you sit there and you say, okay, I still want to stake some of my TFuel in a Guardian node, and I want to stake some TBILL, so I stake some TFuel and I stake some TBILL. I get my TBILL and I get my TFuel, and then I match them both and I compound it. So you'll produce some TBILL, you're gonna produce some TFuel, you add them together and you go and you compound it, and you go from there. So basically, it's a good way that you keep. So when you stake your TFuel, you're going to keep like feeding sort of fuel into your TBILL stake, and it's sort of a good way to do it that way. So with that being said, I know that I'm going to get asked quite a bit. Well, maybe if I covered this, anyways, maybe not. So okay, now I want y'all to think back to the tfuel.farm website, and I do have to still update it for T-Drop. It does sort of change things a little, but neither here nor there. Easiest to do to look at this pure math and to understand, well, what in the world does this mean if a lot of this TFuel goes into TBILL staking and there's for liquidity and so on and so forth? What does that mean for me as a Theta staker? I'm not even worried about TBILL and TFuel. I'm a Theta staker. What is that? What are you doing? What did you lose your mind or what? So here's the thing. This was published. I put it out there, and I just want to circle back because this is probably the best time to reiterate and explain. Okay. Now the whole golden ratio, we won't go down deep rabbit hole of it. It's that, okay, so it's all about balancing the math, and when one of those equations go out of balance, it affects it affects the rest of the balance, so to say. When it is followed to the T, and we have the T drop staking that sort of came into the middle of it, and that's why we got a little bit of the price gap not tightening and so on. But anyways, so let's look at just the pure numbers. What happens is if Theta still stays, well, I think it's higher than this when I made this slide anyways. But anyways, let's just say it's 53%, and Theta stays at its nice plush high staked amount. And we have like a little bit of, TFuel that comes over into TBILL staking and some of the other things. We're not going to probably be the only project out there using liquidity pools for long. You got Meter out there too. So here you have an imbalance of the balance equation, and it's an imbalance in favor of more Theta stake proportionally to the supply than TFuel. When this happens, it's actually the most advantageous imbalance out of all of the imbalances on a mathematical basis. What happens is the TFuel to Theta ratio tightens. If you remember, in a perfect sense, in a balanced number up here, it's 6.25 to 1. So what that does is it tightens it. It tightens it down to a 271. So it increases the price of TFuel to Theta ratio. But what it also does is look at this APR that it balances it out at. Like everybody just increased their APR. So I guess what I'm saying is that so if you remember how the golden ratio works, less people are staking TFuel, so there's more rewards to go around, so TFuel went up, and this price ratio is tighter. So what ends up happening is that the TFuel price goes up, making the APR more valuable for the Theta stakers. So anyways, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this is not intended for a negative imbalance, and this is actually from the math and from how it looks, probably going to positively affect things. Now, okay, people are going to say, okay, you came out and said a 6.25, golden ratio, and we see like a price gap of 10 right now. And even if we don't factor in T-drop, needing to be like 10 cents when it launches to still make it more advantageous to stake Theta than TFuel right now. If we take in all that, what I'm saying is this: if the golden ratio is 6.25 and now it's changing to more like it balances at 2.7, we got a greater likelihood to get to that 6 that we were all sort of like looking at anyways. And, as we get closer to that, these go up. This number of the APR and so on. So that was, I just wanted to make sure that I go over that because, I'm sure people are curious of what does this mean if people start unstaking some T fuel.
Yeah, yeah. That's thank you for circling back to that and expounding on it. You know, yeah, you were the original gangster who threw out that, hey guys, there's a golden ratio here in terms of, stake yield if everyone's completely indifferent between Theta and T fuel. So always interested to hear the latest thinking and developments on that from your beautiful brain.
Yeah, and it's all just math though, right? And but it's always good to see that the math is in favor of positive outcomes for everyone, even if they're not going to be as, you know, tightly followed, so to say. But I mean, man, if we could balance it out to even like 10% APR for both sides, like that would be just great. And listen, let's keep in mind here this as well, okay? Is that sort of the build out of the metaverse, we're going to need to run a bunch of edge nodes and everything like that. And like, it's not going to be just pivoted on like what kind of APR we're going to get and so on and so forth. But I guess all I'm saying is that, with that being said, like, yes, we probably will stake quite a bit, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that I foresee a time where we're going to be running edge nodes that we don't stake, and we just need them up and running, and they're running. So I guess what I'm saying is that it's great to see that the APR is going to go up, okay, for everyone, and it's not like, okay, now the building of the metaverse, now okay, GPooL's about ready to like stake a bunch of T fuel and suck away sort of like and change this sort of like back, it's that, we're sort of going to be running edge nodes for other purposes too. I'm not saying that we're not going to, like I said, not going to stake, but yeah, I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. Well, that's, that's where my slides. And if you had any, quick questions, I know this was probably a bit longer than what me and you both intended.
Honestly, I need to digest it. I'm sure the Gnome Squad that views this on either Theta TV or the YouTubes, I'm sure they're gonna chime in, and maybe we could do a follow-up video at some point with some more clarifications if there are need be, or if people want us to go into the weeds a little bit more on a specific topic or two, we can do that. So throw your questions down in the comments and let us know what you all think. I have no further specific questions other than to say thank you for doing all this. It's really exciting. I often wondered who was going to be the first metaverse kind of to sprout wings on the Theta blockchain, and really glad to see it's a homegrown crew of original guardians instead of original gangsters. So yeah, thank you for all you do, and thanks for coming on my channel to go through all this with me. Again, I'm honored. So thanks so much.
Yeah, perfect. We really appreciate all your help and support. It's you know, it's very it's I guess it's fitting that you're the one with the the second avatar NFT. Well, actually, I think yours was completed before mine, so you were the first. But anyhow, neither here nor there. Thank you so much for letting me explain all this. I know it can get pretty deep and thick into the weeds, but I'm excited. I'm excited for everybody to start learning and understanding what we got. And like you said, there's going to be some good questions that come firing back and so on. I think that once they even get to see more of the big picture too, like I said, we were only just able to touch on just some of it. It's so exciting. I can't wait, and it's going to be so nice, like I said, to be able to build it out and go forward.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. I thought 2020 was a great year for me, and then 2021 was even better. and this content here makes me really excited for 2022.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I can't wait, man. It's going to be such a wild ride.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, DeGard, and have a fantastic evening. And hope to have you on soon.
All right, thank you. I will make sure I am. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.